In any relationship, there are patterns and signs that reveal the deeper nature of the bond. When it comes to a toxic, narcissistic relationship, it can be difficult to recognize these signs because narcissistic behavior often masks itself as love, charm, or confidence. But the truth is that narcissism is rooted in control, manipulation, and a lack of genuine empathy. One of the first signs of a narcissistic relationship is the intensity at the beginning. Narcissistic individuals often create an idealized version of the relationship, showering their partner with attention, affection, and words of affirmation. This can feel like a whirlwind romance or an intense connection that seems almost too good to be true. And in a way, it is because beneath this attention lies a need to control. This isn't truly about you, it's about establishing power over you, making you dependent on the validation they provide. Another sign to notice is the lack of empathy. Empathy is the foundation of any healthy relationship, a sign that one person truly values and cares about the other's well-being. But with a narcissistic partner, there's often a painful absence of it. They might show little interest in your feelings, dismiss your experiences, or even invalidate your emotions. When you're hurt, they might accuse you of being too sensitive or overreacting. This dismissal of your feelings is a powerful form of control, a way to keep you doubting yourself and your perceptions. Over time, you might also experience gaslighting, a manipulation tactic where you're made to question your own reality. They may twist the truth or deny things they said or did, making you feel confused or even crazy. Gaslighting is designed to keep you uncertain, to make you feel dependent on them for clarity, and to keep you questioning your own sense of reality. It's like walking in a fog where you can't trust your own thoughts, and this confusion is exactly what keeps them in control. You may also notice that they rarely take responsibility for mistakes or issues in the relationship. In a healthy partnership, both individuals can admit when they're wrong and are willing to work through conflicts. But in a narcissistic dynamic, there's an endless cycle of blame shifting. Every disagreement becomes your fault, and they rarely, if ever, apologize sincerely. If you point out an issue, they might deflect, accuse you of being the problem, or even bring up unrelated incidents to throw you off balance. This constant deflection builds a toxic pattern where you end up feeling like you're always in the wrong. Finally, their love and validation may feel conditional. You may notice that approval, affection, and support are given only when you align with their wishes. If you act independently or assert your needs, they may withhold affection, become distant, or even punish you with silent treatments or emotional outbursts. This love becomes a tool of manipulation, leaving you chasing a version of approval that never quite comes. Instead of feeling free and supported, you end up feeling like you're constantly trying to please them, sacrificing your own identity and desires in the process. Recognizing these signs can be difficult because they unfold gradually. Each one chips away at your sense of self, making you feel like you're losing control of your own life. Understanding these patterns is the first step towards reclaiming your self-awareness, because in seeing them clearly, you begin to remember that this treatment isn't love, it's control. And no matter how difficult it may seem, recognizing the truth is the foundation for any real change. Understanding the impact of a toxic, narcissistic relationship is essential, because often these effects creep into your life subtly, chipping away at you bit by bit. In the beginning, you might not notice the changes. You're drawn into the relationship with an intense, almost magnetic pull, and it feels validating, even exhilarating. However, over time, you may begin to feel something shift within you, like a gradual loss of self. One of the most profound impacts is on your self-worth. Narcissistic partners often thrive on making others feel small, whether consciously or unconsciously, to keep themselves feeling powerful. As a result, your confidence starts to erode. You may find yourself questioning your own value, wondering if you're good enough or what you could do to deserve love. This persistent doubt gnaws at you, making you feel inadequate or less worthy of care and respect. You might even start believing that the only love you're worthy of is conditional, unpredictable, and dependent on someone else's approval. There's also an impact on your mental health. The constant emotional manipulation, whether it's gaslighting, blame shifting, or invalidation, creates a state of chronic stress. You find yourself walking on eggshells, never quite sure what will trigger a negative reaction. This constant vigilance takes a toll, leading to heightened anxiety, difficulty relaxing, and feeling mentally and emotionally drained. Your mind becomes preoccupied with avoiding conflict or finding ways to please your partner, which prevents you from focusing on your own needs, goals, and dreams. This type of relationship also has a powerful effect on your sense of reality. Narcissistic partners are experts at distorting the truth and creating a narrative that centers on their perspective. This manipulation can make you question your own perceptions, even your own memories. When gaslighting is involved, you might start doubting your own ability to see things clearly, thinking that maybe you're the one who's wrong or too sensitive. Over time, this erodes your trust in yourself, creating a disconnect between you and your intuition. You begin to rely more on them for reality, which pulls you deeper into their control. Another impact is on your emotional resilience. Being in a relationship with a narcissist drains you emotionally because you're constantly having to manage the other person's emotions, reactions, and needs. Your own emotional needs get pushed to the side. You may feel emotionally exhausted, unable to process your own feelings or fully enjoy the parts of life that once brought you joy. This exhaustion often leads to burnout, leaving you feeling hollow, like there's a weight pressing down on you, keeping you from truly living. Your social life and relationships with others may also suffer. Narcissistic individuals often use isolation as a way to maintain control, subtly or overtly encouraging you to pull away from friends, family, and support systems. They might criticize your loved ones, create conflict, or make you feel guilty for spending time with others. Gradually, you become more isolated, losing touch with the people who could provide a perspective or remind you of your worth. This isolation amplifies the feeling of being trapped, as the people who could help you are pushed further away. Physically, the toll of a toxic relationship can be intense. Chronic stress has well-known effects on the body. It can lead to fatigue, tension, headaches, stomach issues, and even compromised immune function. You might start feeling run down, experiencing symptoms that seem unrelated but are actually linked to the stress and anxiety of being in a toxic environment. This physical impact often goes unnoticed because it blends in with the emotional strain, making it easy to overlook or dismiss as something that will pass. Spiritually, too, you may feel a sense of disconnect. A narcissistic relationship can leave you feeling estranged from your inner self, your purpose, and your personal beliefs. Where once you felt a sense of peace or connection, there may now be a void, a sense of emptiness that comes from denying your own needs and identity for so long. This disconnect can be profoundly unsettling, leaving you searching for something you may not even have words for, yet a desire to feel whole, grounded, and seen. In the end, the impact of a narcissistic relationship is pervasive, touching every part of your life. Recognizing it is painful, but it's also the beginning of reclaiming yourself. Understanding this impact allows you to see the full picture of how far-reaching the damage has been. And it's from this place of clarity that true healing can begin. Only by acknowledging these impacts can you start the journey toward rebuilding your life and reconnecting with the parts of yourself that have been lost. Building self-awareness is one of the most powerful steps you can take when navigating a toxic, narcissistic relationship. In such relationships, the other person often works to reshape your sense of self to serve their needs, leaving you feeling disconnected from who you are. Reclaiming that connection with yourself is essential, because self-awareness is the foundation for understanding your true desires, setting boundaries, and ultimately making choices that align with your values. At the heart of self-awareness is the process of tuning back into your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. It begins with observing how you feel, both physically and emotionally, when you're around this person. Do you feel anxious, tense, or guarded? Do you notice that your mood changes in ways that don't make sense when they're around? These feelings are signals, ways your body and mind communicate with you. Acknowledging them without judgment allows you to understand what your intuition has been trying to tell you all along. Part of building self-awareness is also reflecting on how you've been changing within the relationship. Take a moment to consider the parts of yourself that feel dimmed or restricted. Are there things you used to enjoy that you've let go of? Do you feel as though certain qualities like your kindness, humor, or independence are suppressed around them? Noticing these shifts can be painful, but it's also enlightening. It reminds you of who you are outside of this relationship and what it feels like to connect with your true self. Self-awareness also involves reconnecting with your personal values, the principles that guide your life and give it meaning. In a toxic relationship, it's easy to lose sight of your values because you're often consumed by the other person's needs and demands. But rediscovering what truly matters to you is essential. Reflect on what you stand for, the kind of person you aspire to be, and the qualities you cherish in healthy relationships. This reflection not only grounds you in your identity, but also helps you recognize the misalignment between your values and the reality of the toxic relationship. Another important aspect of building self-awareness is examining your patterns and responses within the relationship. Do you find yourself staying silent to avoid conflict, or do you constantly seek approval, hoping for moments of validation? Maybe you notice a tendency to apologize frequently, even when you haven't done anything wrong. Recognizing these patterns allows you to understand how you've been adapting to survive in a difficult environment. These coping mechanisms aren't faults, they're responses to protect yourself, but becoming aware of them is key to choosing healthier ways to respond in the future. One powerful tool for building self-awareness is journaling. Writing down your experiences, thoughts, and emotions provides a safe space to explore your inner world. It allows you to step back from the immediate intensity of the relationship and see patterns that might not be obvious in the moment. Through journaling, you can begin to articulate the doubts, fears, and questions that surface when you reflect on the relationship. This process of putting your thoughts into words often reveals deeper insights and helps you understand the complexity of your feelings. Seeking feedback from trusted friends or professionals can also deepen your self-awareness. Often, others can see things in us that we overlook or are too close to recognize. Opening up to someone you trust allows you to hear different perspectives and get clarity on things you might have normalized over time. This outside perspective can be incredibly validating as it affirms that your experiences and feelings are real and not all in your head. As you develop self-awareness, you also begin to recognize the boundaries you need to protect yourself. Knowing where your emotional limits are and understanding what you're comfortable with are crucial steps toward regaining your autonomy. Boundaries are an expression of self-awareness. They are a way of saying, I know myself well enough to protect my well-being. Whether that means distancing yourself emotionally, spending less time together, or eventually leaving, this awareness of your limits empowers you to make decisions that honor who you are. Building self-awareness also involves reconnecting with your dreams, goals, and aspirations, the parts of you that feel alive and inspired. Toxic relationships often drain you of ambition and joy, as the other person's needs and drama take center stage. Take time to reflect on what makes you feel fulfilled and what you want for your future outside the context of this relationship. Reclaiming these dreams is a powerful act of self-awareness because it reaffirms that you are worthy of a life that feels true and satisfying. Ultimately, self-awareness in a toxic relationship isn't just about understanding how the relationship has affected you, it's about rediscovering and reclaiming the person you are at your core. It's a process of stripping away the layers of self-doubt, blame, and manipulation that may have accumulated and rediscovering your own strength, clarity, and purpose. Through self-awareness, you begin to shift the focus away from the toxic partner and back onto yourself, where it rightfully belongs. This process isn't always easy, but it's a powerful journey toward healing, one that reconnects you with the strength and wisdom that have been within you all along. Setting boundaries is one of the most empowering and vital steps you can take when you're in a toxic, narcissistic relationship. It's a process that requires you to reconnect with your sense of self, identify what you need for your well-being, and have the courage to enforce those limits even in the face of resistance or manipulation. Narcissists, by nature, tend to disregard boundaries because their focus is on controlling others for their own gain. Establishing healthy boundaries means refusing to let their behavior dictate your sense of worth or your emotional landscape. At the heart of boundary setting is a deep understanding of your own needs, feelings, and limits. It starts with the realization that your emotional, mental, and physical well-being matters. For too long, you might have been conditioned to put the narcissist's needs above your own, excusing their behavior, rationalizing their actions, or downplaying your own discomfort. But in order to set boundaries, you must first be able to articulate what you need and what is unacceptable. What behavior do you no longer want to tolerate? What do you need in order to feel respected and emotionally safe? These are the questions you must answer in order to begin defining your boundaries. When you set boundaries, you're taking a stand for your right to be treated with dignity and respect. But often, in a toxic relationship, the narcissistic partner will push back against these boundaries. They may react with anger, manipulation, or even guilt-tripping, attempting to make you feel selfish or unreasonable for simply asking for basic respect. Their tactics may include dismissing your needs, minimizing your feelings, or attempting to twist the situation so that you feel guilty for asserting yourself. It's important to recognize these tactics as attempts to reassert control over you. Setting boundaries is about drawing a line in the sand and refusing to let anyone, no matter how manipulative or toxic, cross it. The process of boundary setting requires courage, as it will likely trigger an emotional reaction from your partner. Narcissists rely on your compliance to maintain the status quo. When you begin setting limits, they might resist with everything they've got, blaming you, criticizing you, or making you feel like you're being unreasonable. Their reactions are a reflection of their need for control, not a reflection of your worth or the validity of your needs. While it's natural to feel afraid or guilty, it's important to remember that their resistance is part of the game they play to maintain dominance in the relationship. Standing firm in the face of that resistance is an act of self-respect and a step toward reclaiming your emotional power. Another key aspect of boundary setting is consistency. It's not enough to set a boundary once and then expect it to stick. Narcissistic individuals often test boundaries repeatedly to see if they can push them or bend them. This is where the challenge lies. It's not just about setting a limit, it's about upholding it with unwavering consistency, even when it feels uncomfortable or when your partner tries to manipulate or guilt you into backing down. Consistency requires a deep level of self-discipline, but more importantly, it requires a commitment to your own well-being. Every time you uphold a boundary, you reinforce your sense of self and strengthen your resolve. It's also crucial to recognize that boundaries are not just about saying no. Setting boundaries is about creating space for your own needs and desires. It's about prioritizing your emotional health and having the right to engage with others in a way that feels safe and nourishing. It might involve limiting the amount of time you spend with this person or deciding that certain behaviors like emotional manipulation or disrespect will not be tolerated under any circumstances. Boundaries create the emotional distance necessary to protect yourself from harm, giving you the freedom to engage in the relationship on your own terms rather than allowing the relationship to dictate your feelings or your life. An essential part of boundary setting is recognizing that it's not about controlling the other person, it's about controlling how you allow yourself to be treated. You cannot change the narcissistic partner's behavior, but you can control your response to it. Setting a boundary doesn't necessarily require confrontation or conflict. It can be as simple as stating calmly and clearly what you will and won't accept. For example, you might say, "I will not engage in conversations where I'm being yelled at." Or, "I need space to think before I respond to this issue. Your tone and demeanor should be firm but non-confrontational," as narcissistic individuals may try to escalate the situation in order to regain control. In some cases, setting boundaries might mean distancing yourself from the relationship emotionally or physically. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting ties completely, but it may involve limiting your interactions or only engaging in specific contexts that feel emotionally safe. For example, you may choose to communicate less frequently or only in situations where the narcissist is less likely to become manipulative or controlling. It's important to remember that distance doesn't mean weakness. It's a way of preserving your emotional health and allowing space for your personal growth. One of the hardest truths to face when setting boundaries is that the narcissistic partner may not respect them. This can be deeply painful, especially if you've invested a lot of time and energy into the relationship. But the reality is that boundaries only work if they are respected, and if your partner repeatedly disregards your limits, it's a sign that the relationship is built on control rather than mutual respect. In these situations, it's important to honor your own boundaries and take further steps to protect yourself. This could mean seeking professional help, distancing yourself further, or, in some cases, ending the relationship altogether. Ultimately, setting boundaries is about reclaiming your autonomy. It's about asserting your right to live a life that aligns with your values and priorities and to be treated with the respect you deserve. It's not an easy process, especially in a toxic relationship, but it's a critical one. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you send a clear message that you will no longer tolerate mistreatment, and you begin the process of reclaiming control over your own life. The more you practice setting and maintaining boundaries, the more empowered you will become, and the stronger your sense of self will grow. Practicing self-compassion is one of the most transformative acts of healing you can engage in when you're navigating the aftermath of a toxic, narcissistic relationship. For far too long, you may have been conditioned to prioritize the needs and emotions of others, particularly those of a narcissistic partner, to the detriment of your own well-being. Self-compassion involves being kind to yourself in moments of pain or difficulty, and it's the antidote to the self-blame and shame that narcissistic relationships often leave in their wake. One of the first steps in practicing self-compassion is recognizing that it's okay to feel hurt, angry, or confused. Many people who have been in narcissistic relationships often experience a profound sense of guilt when they think about their emotions. You might tell yourself that you should have known better, that you should have been stronger, or that you should have been able to fix the situation. This self-critical voice, though common, only deepens the pain. Self-compassion asks you to step outside of these judgmental thoughts and acknowledge that the way you feel is not only valid, but entirely human. It's okay to mourn the loss of yourself, to grieve the relationship, and to feel the hurt that has come with being mistreated. It's crucial to give yourself permission to feel what you feel without trying to rush through it or suppress it. Emotions like sadness, anger, and disappointment are all part of the process of healing. Instead of criticizing yourself for feeling these things, practice sitting with them and allowing them to exist without judgment. When you can sit with your emotions without adding layers of shame or guilt, you start to break the cycle of self-recrimination that keeps you trapped in emotional turmoil. Self-compassion also means forgiving yourself for staying in the relationship for as long as you did. Often, when we leave a narcissistic relationship, there's a tendency to look back with regret and harsh judgment. You might wonder why you didn't leave sooner or why you allowed certain behaviors to continue. But it's important to understand that you were doing the best you could with the tools and understanding you had at the time. Narcissistic relationships are insidious. They wear you down over time, making it difficult to see things clearly. In such situations, self-compassion is the recognition that you weren't weak for staying, you were coping with complex emotional dynamics that took time to unravel. Another aspect of self-compassion is learning to speak to yourself with kindness. Often, the inner dialogue of someone who has been in a narcissistic relationship is harsh and full of self-blame. You may have internalized the toxic messages your partner fed you, leading you to believe you are unworthy, incapable, or undeserving of healthy love. This internal narrative needs to be reshaped with compassion. Imagine how you would speak to a friend who is going through a similar experience. Would you tell them that they were foolish for staying in a harmful relationship, or would you remind them that they are worthy of respect and love and that they deserve to heal? Begin to speak to yourself in the same way, with empathy, gentleness, and care. Shift your inner dialogue to reflect the understanding that you deserve the same compassion you would offer to anyone else in your situation. Self-compassion also involves recognizing that healing is not linear. The path to recovery after a toxic relationship can be messy, full of setbacks and moments of doubt. Some days will be better than others, and that's okay. Healing isn't about erasing the pain or rushing to get to a better place. It's about acknowledging where you are right now and honoring the progress you've made, even when it feels small. Being kind to yourself during the hard days, when the pain feels overwhelming or when old patterns of thinking creep back in, is a critical part of the healing process. It's about offering yourself grace in moments of struggle and not expecting perfection from yourself. Practicing self-compassion also involves setting boundaries with yourself. This means choosing to protect your emotional energy and being mindful of how you engage with your thoughts and feelings. If you find yourself spiraling into self-blame or self-criticism, self-compassion asks you to gently redirect your thoughts, reminding yourself that you are doing the best you can. It's also about prioritizing activities and habits that nourish your mind, body, and soul. Whether it's through mindfulness, exercise, creative expression, or spending time with loved ones, doing things that support your well-being reinforces the message that you are worthy of care. An essential part of practicing self-compassion is letting go of the unrealistic expectations you may have placed on yourself. In the wake of a toxic relationship, it can be easy to fall into the trap of trying to fix everything at once or pushing yourself to get over it quickly. The process of healing takes time, and allowing yourself to be gentle with the pace of your recovery is a significant act of self-compassion. You are not a failure because healing takes longer than you expect, and you are not weak for having moments of doubt. Embrace the idea that healing is a journey, and that every step, even the ones that feel like setbacks, are part of that process. Ultimately, practicing self-compassion is about choosing to be kind to yourself, even when it feels like you don't deserve it. It's about learning to treat yourself with the same love, understanding, and empathy that you would give to someone you deeply care about. In doing so, you begin to rebuild your sense of self-worth one small moment at a time. You stop holding onto the messages of inadequacy and unworthiness that were imposed upon you in the relationship and start to replace them with a belief in your inherent value. Self-compassion is not about excusing mistakes or minimizing your pain. It's about acknowledging your humanity, embracing the flaws and imperfections that make you who you are, and choosing to treat yourself with kindness as you navigate the healing process. Seeking support is a crucial step in healing when you're trapped in a toxic, narcissistic relationship. For far too long, the narcissist may have worked to isolate you from others, making you believe that you're alone in your struggles or that no one could possibly understand what you're going through. It's common for those in toxic relationships to feel like they're stuck in an emotional vacuum, where their experiences are minimized or invalidated. But the truth is, no one should ever have to face emotional trauma alone. Seeking support, whether from trusted loved ones, professional therapists, or support groups, is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of strength and self-care. The first step in seeking support is recognizing that it's okay to ask for help. In a toxic, narcissistic relationship, you may have internalized the belief that you should be able to handle everything on your own. The narcissist may have repeatedly told you that your feelings are irrational, your needs are too much, or that you're the problem. Over time, this can erode your confidence and make you feel unworthy of support. But healing cannot occur in isolation. Reaching out is the first step in taking back control of your life and beginning the process of reclaiming your emotional strength. It's important to remember that you don't need to go through this alone, and that asking for help is not a sign of failure. It's a recognition that you are deserving of care, compassion, and understanding. There is strength in vulnerability, and part of seeking support is allowing yourself to be vulnerable with those you trust. This can be incredibly difficult, especially if you've been manipulated into believing that your emotions are something to be hidden or suppressed. But vulnerability is key to building authentic connections and receiving the help you need. When you reach out to someone you trust, whether it's a close friend, family member, or therapist, you give yourself the opportunity to be seen for who you truly are, without the distortions of the toxic relationship. Vulnerability invites others to show up for you in ways that can be deeply healing. It allows you to express your pain, your fears, and your doubts without fear of judgment or rejection. Support can come in many forms, and it's important to recognize that it's not just about seeking validation, it's about gaining the perspective, guidance, and encouragement you need to move forward. Trusted loved ones can offer emotional support, helping you process your feelings, reminding you of your worth, and helping you see the situation from a clearer perspective. Sometimes just knowing that someone understands and cares can make a world of difference. But seeking professional support, such as therapy or counseling, can offer a more structured environment for healing. A therapist can help you unpack the emotional damage caused by the narcissistic relationship, guide you in building healthier coping strategies, and help you address any trauma you may have experienced. In some cases, seeking support may also involve finding others who have gone through similar experiences. Support groups, either in person or online, can be invaluable spaces for healing. Connecting with others who understand the unique challenges of dealing with narcissistic abuse creates a sense of solidarity and community. It helps you feel less alone and allows you to share experiences, learn from others, and gain valuable insights into your own healing journey. These groups provide a safe and non-judgmental space to express your feelings, ask questions, and find hope. They remind you that there is life beyond the toxicity you've been living in and that healing is possible. Sometimes the people closest to you might not understand the full scope of what you've been going through. This is especially true if they haven't witnessed the manipulation and emotional abuse firsthand. In these situations, seeking professional support becomes even more essential. A therapist can help you process the complex emotions and contradictions that come with being in a narcissistic relationship. Narcissistic abuse can create confusion, self-doubt, and a distorted sense of reality, which can make it hard to trust your own perceptions. A therapist's objective perspective can help you untangle the web of manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional turmoil, allowing you to regain clarity and confidence in your own experience. In addition to seeking emotional support, it's important to build a network of practical support as well. Toxic relationships can often drain your resources, whether that's time, energy, or finances. Having a support system that can help you navigate the practicalities of life, such as finding safe housing, securing financial stability, or managing day-to-day tasks, is critical. This might mean asking for help with childcare, transportation, or finding professional resources that can help you regain independence. There's no shame in asking for help in these areas. You don't need to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders when there are people who can offer assistance. A strong support system is also one that encourages you to take care of yourself. It's easy to lose sight of your own needs when you're caught up in the emotional turmoil of a toxic relationship. Friends, family members, or therapists who encourage you to prioritize your well-being and self-care are essential. They help remind you that you are not responsible for the narcissist's behavior and that you deserve peace, joy, and a life free of manipulation. They'll hold space for you to heal, but they'll also challenge you when it's time to take action or make difficult decisions, like setting boundaries or leaving the relationship. In moments of doubt, when the narcissist tries to pull you back into their web of control, it's your support system that can help you stay grounded and focused on your healing. They will remind you of your strength, help you reconnect with your sense of self, and encourage you to make decisions that protect your emotional and physical safety. Having a solid support system not only helps you heal, but also acts as a reminder that there is love, care, and connection waiting for you beyond the toxic relationship. As you seek support, remember that it's an ongoing process. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and the road to recovery can be long and challenging. But every time you reach out, whether for emotional validation, guidance, or practical help, you are taking a step toward reclaiming your life. Seeking support reminds you that you are not alone in this journey, and that you deserve to be treated with respect, love, and kindness. It allows you to lean on others when you're feeling weak, and it empowers you to stand stronger and more resilient as you rebuild your sense of self. Through seeking support, you begin to piece together the fragments of your life, finding hope and healing along the way. When you decide to break free from a toxic, narcissistic relationship, it's important to prepare yourself for resistance. This resistance, often subtle or overt, will not only come from the narcissistic partner, but also from your own internal struggles and the external pressures of the world around you. The narcissist will fight to keep you within their control. And this can manifest in many different forms: manipulation, guilt tripping, emotional blackmail, and even threats. But perhaps the most insidious form of resistance comes from within. It's the inner dialogue that says you can't do it, you're not strong enough, or you'll never find happiness without this person. In reality, resistance is a natural part of the process when you begin to challenge the status quo of the toxic relationship, and understanding it ahead of time will help you prepare for the emotional and psychological challenges that lie ahead. The first form of resistance you'll likely encounter comes from the narcissistic partner. Narcissists rely on control and manipulation to keep their victims in a state of emotional dependence. When you begin to assert your boundaries, express your needs, or in extreme cases, make the decision to leave, they will fight back with all the tools they have at their disposal. Narcissists are expert manipulators. They will use guilt, shame, anger, or even charm to keep you tied to them. They might try to make you feel responsible for their pain, telling you that you're abandoning them or that no one else will ever love you the way they do. They may promise to change or even show temporary, fake signs of remorse in an effort to reel you back in. This push and pull dynamic, often called the trauma bond, can be incredibly difficult to break, especially when the narcissist alternates between emotional withdrawal and emotional overreach, creating a cycle of hope and despair. Part of preparing for this resistance is mentally and emotionally divorcing yourself from the narcissist's need to control the narrative. One of the most powerful tactics they will employ is gaslighting, making you question your own reality, memories, and perceptions. They may twist events, deny things they've said or done, or make you feel like you're the one who's irrational or overreacting. This psychological manipulation is designed to destabilize you, and it can lead to a profound sense of self-doubt. To prepare for this resistance, it's vital that you begin to document your experiences. Writing down your thoughts, feelings, and any abusive interactions can help you anchor yourself in the truth. When the narcissist tries to distort reality, you'll have a reference point to remind yourself that you are not the one who's crazy. Another form of resistance you may encounter comes from those around you. Often, narcissists will isolate their victims from supportive friends and family, planting seeds of doubt and confusion in the minds of others. In some cases, they may try to paint you as the problem or manipulate people in your life into siding with them. If you've been isolated from your support system, reconnecting with those people may trigger resistance from the narcissist, who will see this as a direct challenge to their control. The narcissist may smear your reputation, make false accusations, or try to manipulate others into taking their side. This can be especially painful if you've relied on the narcissist for validation, or if they've convinced you that everyone else is against you. In these moments, it's essential to hold firm to the truth and understand that the narcissist's desire for control often leads them to create these false narratives. The people who truly care for you will see through the manipulation and stand by your side. Internally, you may also face resistance as you begin to free yourself from the toxic relationship. Breaking free from a narcissist often feels like stepping into an emotional void. For years, you may have been emotionally manipulated and conditioned to rely on the narcissist for validation, love, and identity. This leaves you with a profound sense of emptiness when you try to detach. The narcissist has been your primary source of connection, and for many, it can feel incredibly disorienting to take a step back and face life without their influence. You may wrestle with feelings of guilt, shame, or fear of being alone. The inner voice of self-doubt may tell you that you'll never find someone who understands you the way they did, or that you're not worthy of real love. This internal resistance is one of the most challenging parts of the healing journey, but it's also one of the most important. Overcoming this resistance requires building a new sense of self and reclaiming your independence outside of the toxic relationship. It involves nurturing your own sense of worth, learning to love yourself without the validation of the narcissist, and recognizing that the fear of being alone is far outweighed by the cost of staying in a toxic relationship. To prepare for resistance, you must also be prepared to set and uphold boundaries with yourself and others. Narcissists are persistent in their efforts to regain control, and they may test your boundaries repeatedly. They might try to guilt you into feeling sorry for them, or they may use threats of self-harm, manipulation, or other forms of emotional blackmail to pull you back into the relationship. In these moments, it's crucial that you stand firm in your decisions and remind yourself of why you chose to walk away in the first place. Reaffirm your boundaries and practice self-care when these moments of resistance arise. Another important aspect of preparing for resistance is building a support system that reinforces your strength and independence. This system might include friends, family, or professionals who understand narcissistic abuse and can help you navigate the emotional challenges of breaking free. Your support system is essential for reminding you of your worth, helping you stay grounded when the narcissist tries to manipulate you, and encouraging you to stay committed to your healing journey. They'll help you keep perspective when the narcissist tries to re-enter your life, and they will remind you of your power when you begin to doubt yourself. Resistance is an inevitable part of the process when you decide to break free from a toxic narcissistic relationship. The narcissist will resist losing control, and you will resist confronting the pain of letting go. But with preparation, self-awareness, and the right support system, you can withstand this resistance. By reminding yourself of your strength, staying true to your boundaries, and trusting in the healing process, you can overcome the resistance and reclaim your emotional freedom. Taking action when you are ready to leave a toxic, narcissistic relationship is perhaps one of the most empowering steps in your healing journey. But it's also one of the most challenging, requiring you to move beyond the emotional entanglements, manipulation, and fear that have held you captive. This is not an act of impulsivity, but rather a deeply intentional choice that signifies your readiness to reclaim your life, your voice, and your sense of self. While the narcissistic partner has worked tirelessly to destabilize you and keep you emotionally dependent, the decision to take action marks a significant shift in acknowledgement that your well-being, peace of mind, and happiness are non-negotiable. Before taking action, it's essential to recognize that this decision does not happen in a vacuum. Leaving a narcissistic relationship isn't just about walking away from the person, it's about walking away from the psychological and emotional bonds they've created, the toxic cycles of manipulation, and the distorted reality they've tried to impose on you. It's a decision to honor your own needs, desires, and values, which for so long may have been overshadowed or ignored. You may have spent years being gaslighted, emotionally invalidated, and manipulated into doubting your own worth, making the idea of taking action seem impossible. But the moment you acknowledge that you are worthy of better, that's when the power shifts from the narcissist back to you. The act of taking action is a declaration of self-respect. When you decide you are ready to take action, it is crucial to approach it with clarity and purpose. You have spent time identifying the signs of the narcissistic behaviors, understanding their impact, and preparing for the resistance that may come once you assert your independence. But now it's time to execute that plan. This requires careful thought, emotional readiness, and sometimes logistical preparation. Taking action might look like leaving the relationship physically, setting clear and firm boundaries, or taking the necessary steps to protect your emotional and psychological well-being. Each step you take, no matter how small, is a victory and a clear message to yourself that you are reclaiming your power. There is often a temptation to delay the decision, to wait for the right moment or the perfect set of circumstances. You might find yourself questioning whether it's the right time or second-guessing your ability to follow through. It's common to feel anxiety or fear about the consequences, especially if you've been emotionally manipulated or controlled for so long. The narcissist will likely create a sense of urgency, trying to make you feel that leaving is an impossible decision, or that you'll never be able to rebuild your life without them. But this delay tactic is just another form of manipulation. Waiting for the perfect time can lead to a never-ending cycle of inaction. Taking action, however, allows you to break free from this cycle and take back control of your future. Once you are ready, it's essential to approach the situation with calmness and confidence. Narcissists are often skilled at eliciting emotional reactions and will attempt to provoke you in any way they can. They may try to engage you in arguments, shame you, or pull on your heartstrings in an attempt to keep you attached. It's vital to remain emotionally detached from these tactics. When you decide to take action, recognize that the narcissist will likely not respond with empathy or understanding. In fact, they may escalate their behavior to further manipulate or intimidate you. By staying emotionally grounded and refusing to be drawn into emotional battles, you prevent them from gaining the upper hand and continue to assert your boundaries. One critical aspect of taking action is protecting yourself emotionally, psychologically, and sometimes physically. If you've been in a relationship with a narcissist, especially one who has been emotionally or physically abusive, it's vital to put safeguards in place before taking action. This might involve seeking professional help or legal advice, developing an exit plan, and securing a safe space for yourself. If necessary, you may want to involve trusted friends, family, or authorities to ensure your safety. Narcissistic individuals can be unpredictable and retaliatory, and having a clear plan in place can help protect you from further harm. This action is not about being fearful, but about being realistic and prepared to handle any potential challenges that may arise during the process. Taking action also involves acknowledging the emotional pain that will inevitably come with this transition. Leaving a narcissistic relationship doesn't mean that the emotional scars will disappear overnight. You may experience a sense of grief even as you feel relief because the bond you had with the narcissist is deep and complex. The memories of the relationship, the highs and lows, and the emotional investment you've made are not easily erased. It's important to give yourself permission to mourn the loss of that connection, even if it was unhealthy. Understand that this grieving process is a part of your healing journey. As you take action, remind yourself that you are creating space for a healthier, more fulfilling life, free from manipulation and control. Grieving the loss of the relationship does not mean you made the wrong decision. It simply means you are human. And that emotional healing takes time. Furthermore, taking action doesn't mean you have to do it alone. Having a support system in place is key. Whether that's friends, family, or a therapist, reaching out for emotional and practical support is crucial. Your support system will help you stay grounded, offer perspective when you feel doubt, and remind you of your worth when the narcissist tries to pull you back into their orbit. It's often helpful to have someone with you during the actual process of leaving, or to check in regularly to provide encouragement and reassurance. These people act as your emotional anchors during a time when you may feel unstable or unsure. They also serve as reminders that there is a world of possibility beyond the toxicity of the relationship, and that you have people who care about you and want to see you thrive. One of the most important elements of taking action is learning to trust yourself again. Narcissistic relationships often make you second-guess your instincts, but the process of taking action is about rediscovering your own strength and self-assurance. Trusting yourself means accepting that the decision to leave is the right one, even if the narcissist tries to make you feel otherwise. It means honoring your own needs, desires, and well-being above all else, and believing that you have the power to create a better future for yourself. Trusting yourself will allow you to take the necessary steps with confidence, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Taking action when you are truly ready is the culmination of everything you've learned and experienced. It's the moment you step into your own power and start the process of healing and rebuilding your life. It's the moment you break free from the chains of narcissistic control and start to live authentically, with intention and purpose. While the path forward may not always be easy, every action you take brings you closer to the life you deserve, one of peace, empowerment, and self-love. You are worthy of freedom, joy, and a future where you are in control of your own happiness. Taking action is the first step toward claiming that future. Taking action when you're ready to leave a toxic, narcissistic relationship is one of the most powerful steps you can take for your emotional freedom and well-being. This decision is not impulsive, but an intentional choice to reclaim your life, your sense of self, and your personal boundaries. While the narcissist will fight to maintain control through manipulation and emotional tactics, it's important to stay grounded and focused on your own needs and goals. Preparation is key mentally, emotionally, and logistically before taking action, ensuring that you protect your safety and well-being. Once you make the decision, stay confident and calm in the face of resistance. Understand that grief, confusion, and self-doubt are part of the process, but they don't diminish the importance of the choice you've made. Building a support system, seeking professional help if needed, and trusting your instincts will help you through the transition. Taking action is not just about leaving the relationship, it's about starting a journey of healing and self-empowerment, ultimately creating a future where you are free to live authentically and with peace. You are deserving of love, respect, and happiness, and by taking action, you begin to reclaim your power and your life.